Now, in response to growing public outrage over widespread technical failures and tragic consequences surrounding this year's university entrance exams, the House of Representatives has urged the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board to establish at least one computer-based test center in each of Nigeria's 774 local government areas. Abdul Maruf Adebayo, who raised a motion of urgent national importance, highlighted concerns that numerous students were forced to travel long distances, facing risks like road accidents, kidnappings, and severe psychological stress just to sit for the exams. Now, the House directed its Appropriations Committee to make funding provisions in the 2026 budget, while also mandating collaboration between JAMB and relevant education and ICT bodies to resolve recurring system failures.
That's urgent improvement in the technical and logistical preparation for JAMB will avert unnecessary risk, agony, and improve overall performance in subsequent JAMB UTME examination in Nigeria.
When we look at the security situation in the country and logistics, why JAMB should come and explain why they fixed examination for 6:30. And Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this House once passed a resolution directing relevant educational agencies that the under 16 policy, the policy that under 16 students will not be admitted into higher institution, we directed that they should suspend the policy. Sadly enough, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, JAMB has refused to release the results of all under 16 students.
Technical things that some key officers should do at a point where the examination is taking place that were not done. And that's where they had some individuals, some candidates had these glitches. And the system automatically identified those candidates. So it was not a manipulation or it's not anything. And the result was consistent since 2003 up to this moment, was consistent with the way UATME is being taken. The man came on national television, accepted the fault, which is not common in this country. And he apologized to Nigerians. And I think this House should commend that effort to our public officers. This is what do not happen in this country.
Lawmakers in the Green Chambers of the National Assembly earlier today. Well, now we are joined in the studio by the Vice President of the Computer Professionals Registration Council of Nigeria, Dr. Essien. And in our Lagos studios is Bimbo Abioye, who is the President of the Institute of Software Practitioners of Nigeria. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the news tonight.
Thank you.
I'd like to begin with Mr. Abioye.
Thank you.
Great. I'd like to begin with you, Mr. Abioye, in our Lagos studios, because you are deeply embedded in Nigeria's software ecosystem. When you hear, Mr. Abioye, when you hear about login failures, questions disappearing, complete shutdown of computers, in your professional capacity, what exactly do you think happened? How do you explain that?
Okay, let me start by saying that glitches in software is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's a global issue, and anything can go wrong technically, or human factor, or process issues. And in US, I'm saying US because these are like places it's like nothing goes wrong. But something went wrong when a company called CrowdStrike, was introduced an update, and it caused like a global failure. Airlines shut down, could not do scheduling, control tower, banking sector, everything went down, okay? And that is just an incident. We also recently, the is it state, what is it, national, what is the body that is managing foreign affairs. That just went off my head. We were maintaining something, and something went wrong, and it affected the visa appointment scheduling. So these issues happens, and is not peculiar to Nigeria. Why we say this should, we are not saying one should, but what can go wrong? A whole lot can go wrong. When we talk about applications or technology or system, software does not operate in a vacuum. You have on the technical side, you have the servers, you have the operating systems, you have the network infrastructure, you have all kinds of things that must function and function 100% to ensure there are no issues. And then on the application development side, issues that have to do with following standard software development life cycle, ensuring that systems are properly tested becomes very, very important. And talking about testing, there's the issue of regression testing. For example, good systems have got to be subjected to regression testing. What does that mean? An application that can work for maybe 100 users logging on at the same time and not work smoothly. By the time that same solution is bombarded by 1 million or 2 million people at the same time, it could pose a problem if it is not properly tested, for regression, to see that the application can carry that load. Okay, so, and then testing for accuracy of records, output, integrity, and what have you. All of this have to be properly done to have a good functioning system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abioye, for that submission. Let me come to you, Dr. Eyo. Essien, could this have been avoided? What do you think may have gone wrong? At the back end, is that where to put the blame? You heard the House of Reps there say, look, there's a need to set up at least 2 CBT centers in each local government area, 774 of them. Is the over-centralization of the system, is it the problem? Does it need to be broken into pieces so that we can avoid this kind of glitch in future?
Actually, Nigeria is a society that is they are reactive, not proactive. They wait for something to happen before they now decide on what to do. Now, looking at the issue you can divide it into 3. One, software, the other one, hardware, then the third one is a network. These issues could have been avoided in as much as we know that these glitches do happen once in a while. That's why we professionals are there. It can be rehearsed. Just like Mr. Abioye has said, I don't really know whether there was JAMB decided to deploy a new system or a new software that was not properly tested, or maybe the network in those centers just suddenly went bleak, or I wouldn't really know. In as much as CPN is actually partnered to JAMB, but it was unfortunate. We were actually involved in accreditation of centers this year, but we weren't involved in the exam because some little bureaucracy arrangement or issues. So now, what I would say, in my opinion, as an expert, I will say that, 1, the network issue. You know, JAMB actually, their model is good because they have physical servers, then the physical servers then now transmit to the center in the cloud, and so they always have somewhere to fall back. You know, that model is nice, but it looks as if, I don't know what went wrong, whether the servers or the new software that they just deployed and were not properly tested. That is suddenly the thing just...
But what's the usual practice for an examination of this magnitude where over 1.9 million or so have to sit for exam across the country? What would be the ideal, you know, to check what from point A to point Z to ensure that this glitch doesn't happen in the first place?
Okay. Now, let me just go back a little. The House of Reps, they are now proposing establishing CBT centers, one in each state. Fine, that is good. But you know, most of these CBT centers that is being used right now, privately owned and poorly maintained. And even if you try to rehearse, as JAMB has been doing the accreditation thing and so on, after getting the 100% score, between 2 to 5 days, you go back, the whole thing goes bad. Because the actual amount of money that these people are being paid for those systems, as for rentage, might not be so worth it that they'll just ply in those profits to keep the systems up. Now, what I see in this scenario is that, you know, is lack of maintenance, one, and, you know, if you look at, study those centers that these things happen very well, they're mostly privately owned centers. So centers that JAMB didn't really have full control of. So, you know, with this kind of system that, okay, we introduce CBT and we don't have the infrastructure, we just have to somehow get to it and make sure it happens.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Mr. Abioye, let me bring you back into this conversation. And I asked you the first question because you're the software person. When you listened to the JAMB boss yesterday, he said, although he was taking responsibility, 1 or 2 of their providers failed to do their job. We know that technology has its own way, has a mind of its own, but at the back end are human beings. And that's why I asked you that when you hear such troubleshooting problems as computers going off, questions being blank, what do you pinpoint to be the challenge? But let me ask you my second question. In your professional opinion, do you accept JAMB's explanation that this problem is, you know, localized in 157 centers only, majority being in the Southeast and in Lagos? Is it possible that this problem could be larger than JAMB is thinking? And I'm asking this question because there are reports of students who even sat here in Abuja. There was a particular girl who spoke to another media house, and she said 10 out of 165 questions were missing. And they told them to go ahead and forget about the questions that were missing. So I ask you again, is it possible that this was localized to 157 centers only, or should JAMB be looking broader?
Yes, thank you. I expect the kind of a system that JAMB is using should be a centralized system. So what does that mean? Everything is happening on the same infrastructure and the same server. So it is not likely to be a localized issue. What I think happened could be that the software was not subjected to proper load testing and regression testing, you know, to see, does this software, yeah, we are testing it, is working, maybe 4 or 5 people logs on, they are doing it, but have you subjected it to rigorous regression testing in quality assurance process, okay? So if this is not done, a software that is not tested to be able to run at the level of, say, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million concurrent users at the same time will fail if suddenly there's a surge of users. That is what I suspect happened. And I've seen a practical situation like that sometimes in the past.
Suggesting to JAMB to cancel the entire examination and make everybody receipts. That's on the one hand. And this seems to be a recurring theme in Nigeria when it comes to application of technology, Mr. Abioye. Do you think we are over-digitizing when we don't have the capacity to do so, whether it's JAMB or it's INEC? What are your thoughts?
I would not share that view because, like I mentioned at the opening, system glitches can happen, and it's not irrespective of country. Even globally, even big names like Microsoft, like Meta, like they have had their share of system glitches between 2024 and 2025, as recent as even this year. Okay, so system glitches do happen. Perfection, yeah, we just seek to be perfect, but anything technical, you cannot really beat your chest that everything is perfect and nothing can go wrong. But we can do a whole lot to minimize such possibility, to reduce the chances to near zero, especially when you are dealing with systems that a whole nation is relying on. The process has got to be very rigorous. The testing processes and the various validations to ensure, before the system is rolled out, because system glitches can have significant impact, just like we are seeing now. People writing exams, and then somebody saw, there's a case that I read, someone saw his score was 160 something, and then later he logged on again and then saw that it has been corrected to maybe 4 something or 3 something. I can't remember what the score was. Okay, assuming that one has gone to commit suicide, what would we be talking by now? So these are the impact can be very, very significant, and it can also cause serious reputational damage to the organization concerned. So diligent testing before systems are rolled out can really save the day.
Well, unfortunately, a 19-year-old has, taken their own life because of this. Well, some would say maybe it necessarily does not have anything to do with JAMB, but she sat for JAMB, scored 190-something in the first exams, and then the second one that led to her taking her own life. She scored about 160-something. Now, let me come back to you, Dr. Essien. When 80% of candidates actually fail exams, would it not be safe for, just like Adeswa asked, for everyone, all the candidates to resit these exams? How do you guarantee that, yes, indeed, those who passed is a true reflection of their performance, while those who did not score up to 200,000, 200,
yes, 200,
200, actually failed? What would be the safest thing to do, and how do we avoid this going forward?
Well, let me speak as both a professional, as an academic also. Looking at the performance, what I will advise JAMB to do is to now widen the search, check the performance, evaluate the system, because I strongly believe that there is more to it. Like, for what do I mean? What they claim, the size they claim that is having issues, I think is more than that. There are some that are a minority somewhere, some obscure place that cannot speak. So those ones, nobody talks about them. So what I'm thinking is they should do a comprehensive evaluation of their system. Then when you evaluate and see that maybe more than 50% is affected, then you can resit. But if it's a good portion, if it's up to 70 was successful, then you can dish out for just the 30%.
Well, in this case, I mean, over about 70% actually did not score the cutoff mark.
Well, it's not the scoring that is the issue. It's just to find out the true performance, whether actually it was influenced by the system or it was done rightly. That's
I know that JAMB registrar, before we let you go, actually ruled out sabotage. He clearly said, look, there's no sabotage in this case.
I don't think
but
it's
would you say that there might be some, level of sabotage that needs to be looked into?
Well, I wouldn't say that, like, the JAMB registrar is not a computer professional. And I really feel his pain. He feels frustrated. What I would like to suggest is he should hand that burden to the professionals. Like the body, CPN regulates IT practices in the country. We are actually partners, but only that there was a little disagreement. That's why we weren't involved in the exam.
Quite unfortunate. Mr. Abioye, you have the last words as we wrap up. The Institute of Software Practitioners of Nigeria, do you think that sabotage could have been possible in all of this?
Well, nothing can be ruled out. Whereas, even by the description of the problem, what I suspect is that the solution was not properly tested. And especially, I mentioned regression testing. And what that does is to see whether that system can function correctly when it is subjected to a very high level of load. So it has to be, so the system should have been subjected to that level of concurrent access and usage. I believe that is what actually went wrong. But also the sabotage, maybe hacking and all of that, can also not be ruled out. And that is why organizations need to pay attention to cybersecurity issues in their domain. That is very, very important, and it can be a very serious problem.
Very well said. Thank you very much. Bimbo Abioye is in our Lagos studio, President, Institute of Software Practitioners of Nigeria, ISPON, and Dr. Essien, VP, Vice Chair of Councils of Computer Professionals Registration, Computer Professionals Registration Council of Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us on News Night.